Alright, these are the exercises that you're asked to do independently, and so you're supposed to determine whether line M and line S are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. And in the previous video, when they're parallel, we went over that when they're parallel, the slopes are the same, and when they're perpendicular, the slope is the negative reciprocal. Negative reciprocal. Or another way to say that is that if you multiply the two slopes, it'll equal to -1. And if neither of those are true, that the slopes are not the same, and also that they aren't negative reciprocals of each other, then they are neither parallel nor perpendicular. And so here are the answers for the first one. And we have the second set. We're supposed to have a line with a slope of 4 and passes through 6, 1. So what we did is plot the point 6, 1, and then from there we went ahead and used a run of 4 and a rise of 4 and a run of 1 to plot the line, to graph the line. And then here we pass through this point here, I believe. I'm not sure which point it was, but for it to be perpendicular with this line, it would need to have a slope that is perpendicular to AG with AG. So it would have to have a slope that is the negative reciprocal of this line, right? So we draw the point, and then we figure out what's the slope of the negative reciprocal. What's the negative reciprocal of the slope of this line? And then we plot it. Yeah, and so this is another one that's parallel, right? So it's pretty easy to draw. The slopes are the same as this line. And then here we have determine the slope of the line that contains these given points. Yep, we're just going ahead and plugging it into the slope formula. Yeah, and so these are kind of easy to do because you're just finding the slope of these different lines, or lines parallel to the lines, or lines perpendicular to the lines. And then over here in the next section, we're trying to figure out whether the first point, KM, is parallel, perpendicular, or neither when compared to the second line, ST, for all of these. And so here we're graphing. This is a little bit confusing because this is where you're supposed to graph number 11. This is where you're going to graph number 12, and this is where you're going to graph number 13. And then finally we have exercise 14, which says that a line contains these 2 points, right? So this is line 1. I'm sorry, this says point. It should say line. And this is line 2. And so what you can do is, since they give us the x1, y1, x2, y2 of the line 1, we can go ahead and plug it in and find the slope of line 1, which I designated as M1. We found it to be 13. And then we go ahead and plug in all of these values into M2 to find the slope of the second line, but we have the variable in the denominator, that x. So once you get to here and you find the slope of line 2, then we know that they are perpendicular. So we know that the slope of M2 is going to be equal to the negative reciprocal of M1's slope, right? So the slope of line 1. So we set it equal to -1 over 13. And then we solve for x by cross multiplying, right? So we multiply x minus 2 times 1, and then we multiply -13 times -1, and we get this equation, and we solve for x because that's what we're looking for. We're trying to find the value of the variable, right? So that's this set of exercises here.